Howard University students end a month-long strike over poor housing conditions. We talked to a student who helped make it happen.
In a bipartisan victory, President Biden signed his infrastructure bill into law. Find out how Wi-Fi will be improved.
And a crowd surge at a UCLA basketball game is sparking concerns and new safety measures. Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
We begin with breaking news. Several members of the USC Trojan Marching Band are isolating after a COVID-19 exposure. Good evening, I'm Michael Tseng.
And I'm Brett Chody. In a statement to Annenberg Media, band director Jacob Vogel said they are working with USC Student Health ahead of this weekend's matchup against UCLA. Vogel said, quote, "We will make the necessary adjustments to our marching drill and focus more on choreography, depending on the number of band members who need to isolate." USC Student Health says students now dealing with COVID are isolating at the Doubletree Hotel in downtown LA. That's in addition to those who quarantined closer to campus at the USC Hotel. One marching band member told Annenberg TV News that the COVID cases started in the trombone section, and band members are now concerned it will spread to other members of the marching band.
Students at Howard University came to an agreement with the administration after more than a month of protests over poor and hazardous housing conditions. Tents were set up outside of the Blackburn University Center for 33 days. Students reported dorm issues ranging from mold to roach infestations. They demanded that the university increase transparency, accountability, and fix building issues immediately. Howard University and AACP spoke with CNN and expressed concerns over the students getting sick in their dorms.
This is not just a 2021 issue. This was an issue in 2019. This was an issue in 2017. This was an issue in 2018. This was an issue all the way back 20 years ago. We saw a Hilltop paper from 2001, the year I was born, talking about mold in the dorm.
The university released a statement demanding an in-person town hall, with the university president, reinstatement of affiliate trustee positions on the board, administrative meetings with student leadership to outline housing plans, and legal, disciplinary, and academic immunity for those who occupy Blackburn.
Another strike is happening at Columbia University in New York City. Student workers are striking for the fourth time in 4 years over what they say are unfair labor practices. The strike began after the university changed its pay schedules for graduate student workers from one lump sum at the start of the semester to semi-monthly payments. The union says student workers started this semester with $8,000 less than expected because of the change, causing financial strain.
From what I gather, Columbia is very, very set in not budging, and the bargaining meetings have been pretty much just a series of stalemates.
We have been in bargaining for over 85 sessions now, and we still haven't made significant progress. We're going to keep striking. It's really a waiting game in some ways, just kind of prove to them that they need us more than we need them.
Strikes mainly occurred in the education and healthcare sectors in previous years, but this year, manufacturing workers made up almost half of those who began strikes, according to Bloomberg Law. We spoke to a USC law professor to find out what is causing the recent uptick in employee unrest.
Labor unions are re-energized by the change in administration in Washington, D.C. Seeing strikes in various parts of the country, it tends to feed the activity. People realize that they have rights to speak up, speak out, and perhaps to walk out without retaliation or discrimination.
68% of Americans approve of labor unions, according to Gallup. It's the highest support for labor unions since 1965.
Speaking of labor unions, after an intensely close vote, members of IATSE have voted to forgo a strike and negotiate directly with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. The majority of the 60,000 film and television workers voted to ratify and sign the Basic Agreement and the Area Standards Agreement, which promises to enforce meal breaks, recognize Martin Luther King Day as a paid holiday, and increase yearly scale wages by 3%. Despite the organization's final decision, members were clearly conflicted on the issue, with slightly more than 50% of members voting in favor of the new contract.
President Biden signed a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill this afternoon, pumping billows into roads, ports, power line development, and broadband.
Bipartisan law will modernize our ports, our airports, our freight rail to make it easier for companies to get goods to market, reduce supply chain bottlenecks as we're experiencing now, and lower costs for you and your family. My message to the American people is this: America's moving again, and your life is going to change for the better.
Lawmakers from both parties witnessed the historic signing on the White House lawn. Political reporter Marco Ramirez has been looking into how this will affect access to the internet across the country.
That's right. These days you can't be a student or run a business or do much of anything without dependable internet service, which is why this new law could improve the lives of millions of Americans. Here are the facts. Research suggests roughly 9 million students nationwide don't have reliable internet access. The U.S. is setting aside $65 billion to improve broadband, with $13.5 billion going directly to New Jersey. The U.S. estimates that more than 343,000 households in the Garden State don't have an internet subscription. I spoke with a USC student from New Jersey about how the lack of internet access was especially difficult during the pandemic.
It was hard when the pandemic hit. There wasn't any good internet in my neighborhood or in my house. When I heard that the infrastructure bill was giving money to New Jersey for internet, I was really happy and content, because it means that people who are younger than me and who still live in New Jersey will be able to properly have proper access to internet.
The president said Americans will see the effects of the bill probably starting within the next 2 to 3 months. He hits the road tomorrow to promote his plan. First stop, New Hampshire.
If you're a Spectrum customer near campus who didn't have internet yesterday, e.g. me, good news, the telecommunication company says it fixed the problem. Spectrum tweeted that services impacted by fiber optic line damage in the Los Angeles area have been restored. Anyone still without service should contact the company.
I just had like a presentation due today, so it was kind of frustrating, but at least like campus has Wi-Fi and I'm not too far, so I just came over here to do my work.
It was definitely a stressful experience and made me realize how dependent we are on Wi-Fi.
A fire damaged some of Spectrum's fiber optic cables on Sunday, which led to outages across South and Southeast LA, Ladera Heights, Hyde Park, and Mid-City. The outage hit the area around USC. Some students returned to campus to go online.
UCLA is dealing with crowd safety concerns. Last Friday, UCLA students waited for hours to get into the anticipated men's basketball game against Villanova. Some students felt extremely crowded in the line that was unsafe. Pass holders for UCLA's official student section, known as the Den, were encouraged to get in line by noon. Some students showed up as early as 4 a.m. As more students arrived, some began to cut the line. Students said the situation was not handled properly because of staffing shortages. The athletic director apologized to students in a tweet confirming that UCLA did not have enough staff to handle the turnout. Students described the crowds as chaotic, but not entirely unexpected for a game of this scale.
No one was actually watching the line. So like the athletic entrance, it was just nobody proctoring it for at least like an hour and a half. Then when it started getting long, people started coming. And yeah, I guess I would say it was very chaotic. I would say it was not very organized.
The athletic director said that going forward, UCLA plans to increase staff, add more structures for controlling lines, and look into the process of distributing student tickets.
Thursday's bomb threat is raising questions about USC's emergency warning system. We spoke to DPS about what went wrong.
The Trojan Knights are celebrating 100 years on campus. Hear from current members about what this service organization means to them.
And we go live to Tommy Trojan, where the Knights are keeping a close eye on our precious mascots.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking.
is he talking?
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
There have been concerns about the effectiveness of the Trojan alert system after Thursday's bomb threat. Students got texts on emails telling them to evacuate, but some students feel these alerts weren't enough.
If the whole building had been notified of those alarms, because people were reading the text, people were confused, people were moving pretty slow to get out of the building because they were, not sure exactly what was going on. But I think if there was like an alarm, or someone over the speaker saying, hey, everybody, let's get out of here quickly, the process would have moved a little bit faster.
The Trojan alert system notified students in Wallace Annenberg Hall, Sample Hall, and Grace Ford Salvatore Hall to evacuate immediately around 4:30 p.m. But there's no centralized PA system to warn classrooms, so some students in the buildings got the message before others.
Well, first of all, we want to make sure that we have their correct phone number, both faculty and staff and students. For those who don't receive the alert, for whatever reason, we'll see DPS officers in the building trying to do a orderly and safe evacuation. But we're going to make sure that that is corrected so there won't be anyone who goes unnotified in the future.
Students are automatically enrolled in Trojan Alert when they register for classes. Carlisle says DPS is working to resolve issues with certain carriers and other technical glitches.
USC was not the only school last week to receive a bomb threat. Students at NYU and MIT, among others, were also warned of a bomb on their campuses.
Most NYU classes during that time were evacuated, except one where the professor told the students that they could leave if they wanted to, but he was going to keep lecturing, whereas my friends at USC that were texting me were definitely more concerned than we were here.
The FBI said in a statement that they are aware of the threats and coordinating with their partners. The Bureau says it takes all threats seriously and encourages the public to remain vigilant. And now we go live to Ella Katz, who's out in front of Tommy Trojan, fending off UCLA fans. Ella?
Just now? I thought it was a break. No? Okay. That's right, Brett. Just moments ago, Bruins were surrounding me on all sides. It was honestly a little scary, and that's because today marks the first day of Conquest Week and also the centennial year for the Trojan Knights. Who are the Trojan Knights? They're an on-campus organization, the oldest spirit and service organization here at USC. You can see Tommy Trojan behind me. He's looking a little bit different, and that is because the Trojan Knights are guarding the base. As of last night, the Trojan Knights are on Tommy watch. They camp next to the statue all week to protect Tommy from the Bruins before Saturday's kickoff. The Knights' sister organization, known as the USC Hellenes, will stay by Hecuba's side in the USC Village before Saturday's game. The two student groups just welcomed their new cohorts, and they take their Conquest Week responsibilities very seriously.
We have a history of protecting the statues at USC alongside the Trojan Knights. It's our job to protect Hecuba and Tommy 24/7 until the UCLA game starts.
One of the reasons I chose to attend USC was because of all the opportunities to participate in school spirit. And I think Knights really embodies that. I've made some of my best friends on campus in Knights. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
The Trojan Knight spirit has been felt here on campus for the last century. They have escorted U.S. presidents around campus, led the student section during football games, and created many notable traditions. I'm here with Anav, former president of the USC Trojan Knights. Hi, how are you? Thanks for being with us. So,
of course, yeah.
You've been a Trojan Knight for the past 4 years, right?
Yeah, since freshman year.
So you've been since freshman year. He's a senior, just like I am. Tell me, you have to watch the Tommy Trojan all night. What does that feel like? How do you keep your energy up when you're here till 2, 3 a.m.? What is that like for you?
Well, first off, you're just definitely not getting as much sleep as you usually would. That's something you have to take into account. But we bring coffee, tea, energy drinks to stay up. we have to have someone awake at all times because, campus is somewhat open and you can get on. So we take shifts during the night. For example, last night I didn't sleep here, but I woke up at 3:30, biked over, and did the 4 to 6 a.m. shift before turning it over to someone else.
And tell me, what does it feel like, on this 100-year anniversary specifically, to be a part of something like the Trojan Knights that's been around since 1921? What does that mean to you?
It's really special, actually. I'm really glad I got to be here for the centennial, especially in the Western United States. A lot of things feel very new, and the ability to be connected to something that is this old really ties you back to so many traditions and heritage that we don't have elsewhere.
Absolutely. Well, Brett and Michael, we have Trojan check, and I think we might need Bruin check too because they were here. That's it for now. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks so much, Ella. Now, the Trojan Knights are a very dedicated group on campus. Over the past century, the organization has had many members who have devoted much of their time to supporting USC athletics and keeping school spirit alive.
We started in 1921, and we've been around since, but I think obviously that spirit existed before. We just kind of made an organization for that. There's a lot of history, obviously, the university has had. Majority of that history, Knights has been kind of there, maintaining it.
You may have seen them standing in the front of the student section of USC football games with their chests painted in cardinal and gold. For a century, the Trojan Knights have been the school's unofficial cheerleaders.
Trojan Knights has shaped this campus in more ways than you can imagine. The student union building right here is in part due to Trojan Knights. Yes. Nothing has been done to Tommy, as you can see. He's now wrapped by FMS. So we should be safe from any paint attacks, although you never know what to expect with the Bruins. You look around this campus and without even knowing it, there are Trojan Knights marks all over it.
In honor of the centennial, they will be holding a banquet Friday where 150 Trojan Knight alumni are expected to return to campus to celebrate the lasting impact that they've made on the university. Now, we know that the Trojan Knights are celebrating their centennial, but let's go to Julia to tell us what we can celebrate today and what the weather's looking like for the week. Julia?
Hey Michael, thank you so much. Today is National Philanthropy Day, and funny enough, it's also my ex's birthday. Some would consider that relationship to have been charity work. I have nothing to say on the subject, but I do have a lot to say about the weather. Looking over here, it is currently 64 degrees outside with 72% humidity. Coming on over to the 5-day forecast. High of 70 on Tuesday, low 54. What a coincidence, it's the same exact on Wednesday, high of 70, low of 54. Thursday, high of 66, low of 53. And again, it is the same on Friday, high of 66, low of 53. I think that's crazy. And then on Saturday, it's a high of 68, low of 53. We have a week of wonderful weather to absolutely drag Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know if any of you heard, but Taylor Swift did release her re-recorded album of Red, Taylor's version. I know most of the songs all too well. I don't know if the sports anchors do though, so I'm going to toss it on over to them and see what they say.
USC men's basketball is ranked for the first time this season at number 25. What does this mean for the new season? Drake London is a semifinalist for the Blitnikoff Award, but does he have a good chance at winning it? And women's soccer rolls past Grand Canyon in the NCAA tournament to advance to the second round. ATVN Sports is next.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
USC men's basketball is the number 25 team in the country. The Trojans are on the AP Top 25 poll for the first time this season after wins over Cal State Northridge and Temple last week. Memphis transfer Boogie Ellis continues to impress, averaging 15.5 points per game. Senior guard Drew Peterson is second in the Pac-12 in assists through 2 games. Andy Enfield will return to the place where he used to coach when the Trojans take on the FGCU on Tuesday. Emily, what did the voters see that has USC men's basketball ranked number 25?
You know what, Matt? I think it really has to do with the game that we just came off with in Temple. Unlike CSUN, this one wasn't too much of a cakewalk. You know, defense is only allowing an average of 60 points per game from the opposer, as well as 7.5 average for steals and 3.5 average for blocks. We've really got it going for this season that we're 2-0 for.
I think this team is ranked because of the strong support from the bench and from the supporting characters this year. Chavez Goodwin and Boogie Ellis have led the team in scoring, even though they weren't big contributors to the team last year. Isaiah Mobley has also been great, but the players on the bench and these other supporting characters have been great for the Trojans this year.
You know what? You make some really good points here. Now on to women's basketball. USC women's basketball is 2-0 after last night's win over Virginia. The Trojans turned a 2-point game at the half into a blowout. This was new head coach Lindsey Godley's first road win. Freshman forward Rhea Marshall led all scorers with 16 points and 9 rebounds. Marshall single-handedly carried the Trojans in the third quarter, turning a 1-point game into a 10-point lead. Freshman Clarice Akunwofo scored the Trojans' first double-double of the season with 10 points and 10 rebounds.
This was our first real look at our players against a Power 5 opponent. And you can't replicate that sometimes in practice. And so for them to kind of take that challenge and battle and come out really as the ones who sort of won that battle, I was really proud of that and impressed by that.
The women of Troy will face Western Michigan at the Galen Center on Thursday at 7 p.m. And Drake London is one of 10 semifinalists for the Biletnikoff Award despite his season-ending ankle injury. This award recognizes college football's most outstanding receivers in football. London ranks number 2 in total receptions in the nation with 88 and ranks 8th in receiving yards with 1,084. London posted 7 touchdowns this year despite playing in only 7.5 games. Matt, Purdue's David Bell and Penn State's Jahan Dotson also are top contenders for this award. Do you think London will win the Biletnikoff this year?
I don't think Drake London will win because I think David Bell is the front runner right now. He had some big games on his schedule with 2 200-plus yard games against number 2 Iowa and number 3 Michigan State. Drake London just doesn't have the resume for that or the opponents that USC has faced.
I agree with you, and I think we can really compare this to the NFL. Why don't we look at Titans running back Derrick Henry? You know, he's out for the season with an injury as well, and he was up for an MVP award. How do we expect London to do the same when he's out for an injury as well and can't really complete the season in order to take that award?
USC women's soccer is moving on the NCAA tournament after crushing Grand Canyon 6-0. Corey Bethune continues to make headlines, recording a hat trick in the first 9 minutes of the match. Bethune's hat trick was the fastest recorded in USC history, and she didn't stop there. Bethune had a hand in 2 more goals with 2 assists on the opening match. All of that in just 39 minutes of playing time. Bethune on the big win.
It was very good. They were telling me on the sideline. That's very impressive. I impressed myself, honestly.
The Trojans are set to take on Penn State in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The match will be played at Sonny McAllister Field.
And USC women's volleyball is back in the winning column after snapping a 6-game losing streak with a 3-set win over Oregon State yesterday. Graduate student Brooke Boatkin led the Trojans with 14 kills in the team's win over the Beavers. Coach Keller on the win. Next up, Arizona Wildcats will come to the Galen Center on Friday. That's it for sports. Michael?
And don't go away yet. A new student-run organization is helping put your extra meal swipes towards a good cause.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
Trojans Give Back is a new student organization that uses students' extra meal swipes to donate snack packs to local food banks in South LA. The organization collected nearly 300 meal swipe donations, totaling more than $3,000 worth of food. Over 70 people participated in the event and delivered food to Skid Row. The founder noticed that students were not using all their meal swipes each week.
So I settled on finding a way to donate these to local food banks. And I found the snack packs as a way to find perishable food that doesn't, instantly go bad. Obviously, we had a great outpouring of support on social media, tons of people reposting it on their stories.
Trojans Give Back will continue to use social media to drive support and raise awareness about their mission and future drives. Michael, that's awesome that they're using social media to spread awareness. I know I had a bunch of meal swipes left when I was a freshman, so that's great. And with that, thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Brett Chody.
And I'm Michael Tseng. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.